Hopping over to the Montreal side of SoundMojo, we just had another awesome weekend full of event coverage, and Joe is here to tell you all about it. So, Joe, what went down this past weekend in Montreal?
Yeah, the Arctic Monkeys were in town at the Bell Center, which is our big main venue for these shows. And I was already going. I had already had tickets. My daughter, who's a fan, and we'll get into like why she's a fan. And so I figured, while I'm there, let me try to get some shots, right? So I got accepted, and we got these shots, as you'll see as we're doing the review. Obviously, you're familiar. You're familiar with the
Yeah,
Arctic Monkeys, right? Have you ever listened to an album like
I
completely?
have. I think more so that the latest music they've put out in the last decade is the stuff that I know. The bigger hits, Do I Want to Know, songs like that.
Exactly.
But yeah, definitely, I've checked out some of their old stuff as well.
Yeah, that's the stuff I'm familiar with. Stuff on the radio, those iconic kind of riffs and stuff. But man, was I blown away with the audience reception. Like it was
Mm,
full. I don't know if it was sold out, but it was full everywhere. And the biggest thing that freaked me out was it's all youngish girls. Like
okay.
14, 15s. My daughter
Oh,
herself is
wow.
16, and they sang every single word, standing up the whole time. And I had a
Wow.
girl singing next to me the whole time, off key, but she knew every word.
She was the concert that night.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it was fascinating to see because I kept questioning myself, like, why this band? Like,
Hmm.
like at the end of the day, it's why any band, why any artist, anybody's interested. But like, I don't know, the music seems more mature to me, and like they're older gentlemen at this point. So
Yeah.
it's interesting to see that all these young girls and guys as well, like, really got into them. It seems like a high school thing, right? Like when a few friends get
Right.
into it, and then it just starts to spread. I
It
don't know.
just blows up. Did it kind of seem to you that it would be an audience like a Blink 182 type of thing? Because when I went to that show, it was all people, 35-year-olds, 40-year-olds who were sort of in that
Yeah.
nostalgia from that time.
Well, I don't really like. I never think what's the audience going to be like as I get there, because it's pretty much the same, from show to show. You'll
Yeah.
have some young kids, some older, but this just like it just took me by surprise. I was like, wow, man, like all these young kids into this band, which is happy, makes me happy because puts rock is still doing well. So yeah, the opener was I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right, but Fontaine's DC. Here in French, we
Okay.
say Fontaine, like which is
Fontaine, yes.
uh,
Prettier.
yeah, they were pretty cool. Like interesting, like, it sounded like a bit of that British indie kind of rock, punkish vibes.
Hmm.
They put on a really good performance. The lighting was so for them, as usually a lot of openers, it's like pretty dark. But when Arctic Monkeys came out, this, as you can see on the pictures and stuff, the video, like the setup was really nice. And like the impression I got was very clean and
Yeah.
professional, very clean, polished look. They came out, they just killed it, like a great performance. And like I was just like, man, this is like interesting, I should be into this band a bit more.
That's really cool. I mean, so when they came out, I would imagine it was a fairly basic sort of UK style setup. Like they had the amps, they had them, but it
Yeah,
wasn't like pyro or anything like that.
exactly. Thanks for mentioning
Yeah.
that. I almost forgot because like, yeah, there was no pyro. It was, that's why I
Yeah.
said, like, very classy kind of
Hmm.
Pink Floydish, because they had the big circle in the back with some clean
Mm.
background, and there, it would be the video in the middle of the circle with them. Speaking of amps and stuff, today we're so used to like a very clean back line. Even when I saw Dream Sonics or Dream Theater with Devin Townsend, like a lot of people are using modelers, amp modelers, so it's all
Mm.
tucked away in the back. There's no more cabs on stage, which makes for a better overall sound because you don't have the mics having to fight with the volume on stage to
Mm.
project
That
out
makes
there.
sense.
Everything is nice and clean. Fast forward to these guys. I'm looking at the stage because I'm right in front. I'm like, wow, they brought us some cool vintage amps I'd never heard of, with nice big fat mics in front of them. I'm like, okay, they went old school, normal
Yeah.
for a setup, no modelers, no nothing. And dude, it sounded killer. It sounded amazing
Mm.
because, and I was pretty far when I went back to my seat. I was at the corner at the back of the hall. But because it's not very active, like in the, like metal or rock, the sound doesn't get lost, so it travels well.
Right.
So even with, so all I had to do is just I put my earbuds and it eliminates the majority of the room, and I was able to hear everything pretty clear. And
Man.
I mean, all the sound tones were great, warm, vintagey, kind of tones, all those buzzwords as we like to use. But yeah, no, overall, man, I would say like I would give this, not knowing their catalog that well, I would give this a good 9 on 10 in terms of a good
Wow.
traditional show, no flair, no fluff. And
Mhm.
one thing I noticed, and I kept asking my daughter at the time, like, it doesn't, and even one of my nieces went and she said, yeah, it was a bit weird because there's zero to like nothing to almost nothing of interaction with the audience. Like a
They
couple
don't
times,
say, "Hey, Montreal, how you guys doing?" or anything. Okay,
yeah,
yeah,
a couple times, hello Montreal, or I don't know what, but nothing in between the songs. They just went song after song after song after
real
song.
classic approach. Yeah, that's kind of
Yeah,
cool, though. I know what you mean. It takes you back to a different era that maybe we don't really see that as much anymore.
no blah blah blah. Nothing. No like sob stories or anything. Whatever. Like it was just music. Let's go. The fans really appreciate it. Trust me. Like I haven't been to a concert. Not the music that loud, the audience that loud.
Wow,
You know what I mean? It almost felt
it's
like
reminiscent to bands of the past, right?
I was gonna say. Like the music has a vintagey Pink Floydish kind of almost sometimes 50s vibe, and it's like I
Mhm.
felt like wow, this is must have been like maybe I don't know 20% of what it was to see the Beatles. To have seen the
Exactly. Yeah,
yeah.
I like the way you put that 20% because you never want to compare. But see, a real music aficionado right there. He knows how to put it. I
Well,
love
because it's a
that.
different place and time, right? That was 50 years
Exactly.
ago. I don't know. I wasn't there, so what could I say? But I'm just imagining, like, I was like, wow. Even if the band wasn't loud, I would have had my earplugs on because of the everybody
Because of
screaming.
the people, yeah. So would you recommend this concert, Joe, for a fan of the Arctic Monkeys or maybe someone who's looking to become a fan?
Yeah, 100%. I would recommend it if you want to just see some good music, good performances, no fluff. Uh, it's definitely worth it.
Have you got the chance to see the Arctic Monkeys live in concert? Would you like to go see them? Let us know down below in the comments or on the SoundMojo community tab where we posted the photos from the event.